Hello, hello. Welcome to the psychological analysis of the polygamist. My God, today, okay? So, my name is Dr. Shareece. I am a licensed clinical psychologist. There's my degree right up there. And reviewing this show was a request. I would not have even know the show existed if someone did not request this. It is 22 episodes, they're 30 minutes each, and be still my heart. I was triggered in so many ways. Personally, professionally, it was hard, especially towards the ending. It's a very engaging story. So I want to start with the author. Her name is Sue, right? The author of the book The Polygamist, which is what the series The Polygamist is based on. And based on the interview that I saw from her, the series is very similar to the books, right? You say you had to make the premiere. Inside Out Complex, thank you. I have so many thoughts. I feel like this live is going to be so long. Oh my goodness, my God, today. Okay, so I just want to say Black art is important, Black stories are important. Um, Seeing beautiful, rich people, I think it's so valuable. I think the styling, the makeup, the clothes, the acting, like The Polygamist, it's shot in South Africa and they're speaking in the native language Zulu. I watched it with subtitles on. The dub wasn't really that good. If you like drama, this is the show for you. It's really the show for you. And I feel like 90% of what was shown in The Polygamist is real life. I think one of the people that comes to mind for me is probably Diddy and Epstein in terms of level of chaos. Part of why it was triggering for me is because I prefer fantasy TV shows because in real life, I deal with trauma in real life, right? And I'm honored to help people through their trauma, but I don't really want to consume trauma in my off time. When I just relax in, I don't really want to consume it. So 90% of what was shown was very realistic to me. There were some, dramatic or like cinematic moments that it's like y'all did this for a show. Like you added this twist for a show, but most of what was shown in that is what happens in very dysfunctional families and trauma filled generational abuse filled families. This is exactly what it looks like, what it feels like, and how it so significantly affects the kids. So that was the author. Let us look at one of the stars, right? So this is Gugu Gumede. You can see this woman is stunning. This woman is stunning. This woman is stunning, okay? And her acting is just as stunned. I think these folks are so convincing, and none of them are like, I've never seen these people before, but all of the actors, all of the main characters for sure, this is not their first piece of work. They have really put some time into really mastering their craft. And so impressive. Look at this lady. Oh my goodness. She's stunning. The Jonasi, oh my gosh, the little demon devil man. This is Sudumo. I just posted on my yesterday. Yeah, yesterday was Sunday. I posted on my, what do you call it? Your community tab, a series of pictures about my life, right? Just how grateful I am to be me and to live like a beautiful life and the things I really enjoy. And I posted a picture of me and my boyfriend. You tell me if this man looks like my boyfriend. Someone sent him a picture of Jonasi and said, this looks like you. Except my boyfriend has a bigger nose. I like men with big noses. Yes, ma'am. Hold on. Yeah, it hurt knowing that as dramatic as it was, that's a lot of women's lives. Yeah, I spent a lot of time trying to understand the minds and motivations of women who stay, right? And I do think that the show also lets you see, why did these women stay? Why were crumbs enough? Why was the image enough, right? We don't get their whole backstory like from their childhood like we get Jonasi's, but we get enough to understand why it was so important for them to stay. My God. Okay. I was thinking about, yeah, he does treat me well. And he is sensitive to, I don't know if sensitive is the right word, but I'll say the sentence. He's sensitive to the portrayal of Africans, right? He does not like the negative stereotype of African men being, having secret families and being liars and cheaters. He does not like the stereotype because that's not, right, his lived reality. And in his community, he's a pillar in his community. So he don't like it. But this is not, like, the author in her interview, she was saying, like, this is not, I think she set her book in Zimbabwe. Forgive me if there's another country that she set it in. I think it was Zimbabwe. And they're setting this story in South Africa. But it's, like I said, Epstein and Diddy are good examples of the kind of chaos that men can create. It's not cultural, right? It can look different in different cultures. If you want to know, like, what's wrong, right? Why is Jonasi like this? Like, why is someone like Epstein like this? Why is Diddy like this? I think that the understanding the cluster B personality disorders can be helpful. But I've also explained, I think in some of my other videos where I'm just talking about how sensitive I am to, like, the pain of the world. It takes a lot of trauma to create people who traumatize other people in this way so significantly. And we can see some of what Jonasi's trauma is. So I just want to show you some more of the characters. I have semi-detailed notes for the first 3-4 episodes. And then, because I thought it was 10 episodes, but it's really 22. But then I just have themes or plot points that are important to mention. So, hold on. You saw the actor. This is, I mean, for those of you who didn't watch, I would encourage you to watch. Of course, there's going to be spoilers. If I meant to put that in the title, but there's going to be spoilers. I'm going to talk about what happened in the show. So this is Joyce. Joyce is married to Jonasi, and they have 3 children together. So it is Mpume and Menzi. And I don't know the youngest child's name, but there was a son that was born during the series. And then we'll get to Matipa. Let me show you Matipa's picture first. And then the foolishness, because not this man have 3 wives, okay? Matipa, who he has the children, the twins with, is really the 3rd wife, but we think it's the 2nd wife. My God. And then the last one that we find out about in the show is Essie. And Essie has a son, the one at the bottom, from a previous relationship. We'll get to it. A previous relationship. And then her daughter, Sarah, is Jonasi's daughter, secret daughter of 20 years. Okay. So in episode 1, and then, a mess. Okay. Listen, the storytelling, because as someone who reads like 100 books a year, right? I love to read. I love stories. I think books are phenomenal. Books will always win over TV shows. However, when it comes to art and storytelling, the way that they put the story together, the flashbacks, the flash forwards, the different perspectives of the women, because the story is told from the women's point of view, right? The experience that the women are having, like, they have their own scenes outside of him that we get their perception of him. They just did a phenomenal job with the way they told the story. Yeah. And I love reading. So I don't know if I'm gonna read the book, The Polygamist, because again, I don't need all the trauma. I don't need all the, I don't need all this. I do want to make a point about polygamy, and the folks that I'm listening to, right? My understanding of polygamy, and then reinforced by people who are part of the culture where historically they practice polygamy, is not what Jonasi is doing. Jonasi is a liar and a cheater, a manipulator, a chaos creator, a little demon. He's not practicing polygamy. What he's doing is not polygamy. The author named her book The Polygamist as like commentary on what she observed men doing, right? Having separate families all over the place, saying it's polygamy when really it's just, I want multiple women. I just want to be able to sleep with multiple women. That's really what she saw a lot of men doing. And it's what, the Diddy's and the Epstein's of the world. They're predators. They're not really invested in what's best for the children. I don't know all of the outcomes. Thank you so much, Elsie. Thank you. I do not know all of the research outcomes for children who grow up in polygamy, the traditional way, where the first wife, is the one to initiate. I think we need more help on the farm, in the house, whatever. And she goes out and looks, and then there's a hierarchy in the household where the younger wives, follow the lead of the first wife. I do not know what those outcomes are like, right? But you can see from the Polygamist TV show, right? The way that it's framed, when men lie and they have multiple women that they are manipulating and using as a means to an end, that energy infects the children. I could tell you that. I think that children should be raised in communities where there are multiple mother figures, but that doesn't necessarily mean like polygamy. You know what I mean? Like my sisters are an influential part in my son's life. Like very helpful community people, not necessarily, we don't all have to be messing with the same man. Okay. So they start with Jonasi's funeral, right? And then we flash back to what's happening current day with the couple, right? Joyce is asking to renew their vows, even though her husband has moved out of the house, their beautiful mansion, which I love to see. And he's with another woman, and it's been over a year. And so you get to meet Joyce as a woman who is obsessed with image. She's like a social media personality, or she's a brand ambassador or something. And so she's camera facing and definitely puts on an effect. Now, Jonasi married Joyce, in my opinion, for status, for access to money. Joyce is from a wealthy, well-known family, and I think that's why he chose her as his first wife. And so every woman is a means to an end. This man does not know what love means, okay? Yes. Inside out complex. I was blessed to have my mom and another mother figure who stepped up when my mom needed to work more. Yes. I think we need that kind of support. Nobody should be raising their child alone. And I do not think the nuclear family supports children well. Yeah. I didn't get why Joyce wanted social media since she is half owner of his business. Well, honestly, I think it's to have something of her own. Because after, right, skipping all the way to the end, after she's like basically emotionally out of the marriage, what does she do? She continues like to pursue things. She don't need to work. There's so much money, him being the CEO, probably having like stock and shares and all that stuff. She doesn't have to work, but she still wanted to go and get this advanced degree and do a memoir. Like she had so much, I think, to give and to want to do in her life. So that was my guess, that she wanted to do something and not just be a stay-at-home mother. Being a stay-at-home, I mean, if you get access to women who stay at home full-time for most of the kids' life, they're bored. They want to get out and do something. They have ideas. They have dreams that they want to do. Even if it's, I don't know. I worked with a lady when I was in Ohio who stayed at home for all her kids' life. I think she didn't start working until they were 20. And she was a secretary at the front desk. And she loved it. Listen, and to me, I think the way you do anything, even if it's a simple thing, the way you do it says a lot about you, your character. And she came in on time, like she was always organized, put together. She answered very professional ways. I was just a temp there. She had standards for professionalism. That was great. And she was a secretary. Good afternoon, Air Max. Thank you for being here. So we get to see there's a scene with Joyce and Matipa I think it's with Jonasi there. And Joyce calls Matipa a skank. And I say, oh, I see what kind of show this is going to be, okay? Because I must say till I'm blue in the face, there is no hierarchy. Oh, what was your name before? I love it when y'all change the names, or I like it because sometimes people change their names based on the pop culture reference of the moment. And I think it's so cute. It's so cute. So there is no hierarchy of women. There is no hierarchy of women. The government. Oh, and you didn't like, that was what you said. Not the whole government name. No, I got you. I remember. In society, they say the married woman in this case, right, the first wife is going to be the best, right? She's valued the most. And any side chick or other woman is not valuable at all. She is really nothing compared to you, okay? You won because you got him to marry you. Oh my gosh, okay? That is a lie from the pits of hell, okay? I just being dramatic. It's not true that there's any hierarchy of women. It's just different types of women or different roles of a woman. Not one is more valuable than the other. And I do encourage people to look at the way you're being treated, because tell me, was any one of these women winning? Did any one of these women actually have Jonasi's heart? No, they all got the same treatment. And I don't have Lindani, her picture. When we listen, pay close attention to my facial expressions when we get to the part of Lindani. That's probably the most triggering part for me. I had to skip parts of that because the grooming, the predatory actions, it's just too much for me. It's too much. I don't need to see it. I help people through this stuff. It's just too much. It's just too much. Okay. But you can think of Young Miami as Lindani. You didn't know him long enough to see where it was going to go. But every woman that came before was treated extremely poorly, abused, in fact, if they knew him long enough and if they started asking him to do things. This man has zero emotional capacity. It's such insane. Yeah. So I think maybe the burning of the house, right? So Joyce was so mad that, you know, he's leaving. He's not showing up in the way that she wants him to. He's filing for divorce, right? To be with Matipa. And for a while, you start thinking maybe this is going to be a different kind of show. Like, oh, I guess it's, you know, following something else. I don't know. But then Joyce burns their passports because she wants him to be there on the 20th anniversary of their wedding. And I said, burning their passports is such desperation. Do not give a man your whole life. Don't give a, you know, if we scale out, did Joyce ever had a choice to get married? I don't know. I think she was probably raised to be a wife. And so she was always going to be married. Now, she didn't know she was going to marry an abuser. So there's that. But because she comes from a family that has resources, I don't know, in a lot of cultures, even in America, but definitely in a lot of those, you know, still very strongly patriarchal societies, the worst thing you can be is an unmarried woman, unmarried mother, even worse. So there is, I think people have weighted money and the status of being married as very similar. Me, you can't tell me that, okay? I really don't care what people think. I'm not trying to go up in any high society. I'm not trying to get unhappy people to think of me as good. I think of myself as great. Okay. So I would be out of the relationship. I'm a leaver. I'm leaving with my children. I have enough money to take care of myself. I'm not doing none of that. But Joyce can't help herself. She wanted status and money. Why did she want this demon's heart? Listen, what have I told y'all about men who pretend? There are some men who pretend for so long that you think that pretend is real. A man like Jonasi, who probably has a personality disorder, the fantasy of we're in love, we're being treated well. I mean, I'm being treated well by this man who is so great and, you know, has a great mind and is working so hard for us and the family. When he got a second wife right after y'all got married and didn't tell you about it, and then had a baby and didn't tell you about it, your whole life is a lie. Your entire marriage is a lie. That is harder to accept than to try to win his heart back. You never had it, but to think that you could get his heart back is an easier lie to believe than to face the reality of this man never loved you. He married you because your father was rich and had access to funds. That would hurt my feelings. I know. I was thinking the same thing. We never learned about his relationship with his mother. I was wondering, was she dead? Did she run away like Matipa? Because the father was an alcoholic? And he said his brother didn't protect him, right? Jonasi was bullied as a child, like viciously. Yeah. So in episode 2, I'm only going to do this for the first four episodes. In episode 2, Matipa was dating Magesh. I don't have a picture of Magesh. Magesh is Jonasi's brother. Okay. Now, if I say a woman is, I don't want to say it, but I want to say it. I've said before, Portia from the Real Housewives of Atlanta is, have you seen that meme of Young Miami? I'm a whore. No, I'm a whore. Okay. Portia is close to that, right? She goes after men for money. Now, I think maybe she might be in love with a woman. All that stuff might be true. Matipa, there's no hierarchy of women. There's just different types. There are women who go after men, who hunt them down for resources. I have no judgment for those women. How they say, get it how you live, do the best you can, figure it out, girl. Life is hard in some way for all of us. It was hard in an exceptional way for you. If you say, I'm gonna get it, any means necessary, sell my body for it, give it up to the CEO who I know is married for it, mess with his brother at the same time for it, girl, do the best you can. But it's definitely a certain type of woman who pursues a man knowing he's already in a relationship. Most men are not worth being in a relationship with. They have no loyalty. Their loyalty is to dominance, ego. And so most men are weak. I don't mean weak. Most men, right, just in their mind, they do not have the discipline, the sexual discipline necessary to not pursue a relationship or a sexual relationship with someone they have no business doing it with. So these kind of women know how to get men. Matipa should have stayed with that more powerful man and make Jonasi squirm. Well, no. Matipa is a boss babe. Matipa should have gone and gotten money from the source, where money comes from, that energy source. She should not have been preoccupied with trying to get money through a man. She was, if you're that savvy to finesse men, you are savvy enough to run a business. In terms of a good TV show, sure, she could have stayed with the commissioner or something? It was like a high level government executive she was with after. She only did that to continue to stress Jonasi out because she knows that he's just ego. He's like, nobody can have what's mine, boy. And he liked to take things from other people. Okay. I laughed when Matipa told the secretary, us girls have to stick together. I was like, Matipa, you don't care about women. She does not care about women. She only cares about herself. Okay. So, yeah, I like the scene. I like it was just I like the scene where she drops the file. And I said, men are pathetic. I'm being dramatic. I don't think men are pathetic. But Jonasi is ridiculous. Okay. He every urge, he cannot help himself about following through. So Joyce seems to be a good wife. She's good at performing. I think in episode 2, Joyce has her son and Jonasi lies and says that he has to go back to the party that Matipa was at. And he leaves his wife who just had a baby. My gosh, that's why I put diabolical, okay? Diabolical. And before we get any further, the image of Jonasi that I put on the thumbnail is the real Jonasi. He views himself as scum, as nothing, as worthless. That's how he views himself. That scene, I think a movie critic, one of those people who analyzes imagery, you know, like how people talk about, like if you see stairs in a movie, like it always means something. The symbolism of that scene where he drops his birthday cake because nobody celebrates his birthday with him, and like he like slams it on the floor in his hotel room and then mashes it up, picks it up, and then puts it in his mouth. That is how he feels about himself. Nothing. You're nothing. Every time you hear Jonasi yelling at somebody else, you're nothing. You wouldn't be anything without me. He's talking about himself. Listen, Jonasi let it be Joyce's idea. He go back to the party. Yes. And I think all the time about like when a man starts saying, I think they call it dry begging. When he's like, oh man, listen, I don't know this from experience. I know this from stories from other people. Oh man, I'm really on some hard times. Babe, what's going on? Man, I just, I'm late on this bill. I just need like, I think it's just 200. It's just, this is really stressing me out. What is that man? What is that man waiting to hear from the woman? You let a man be direct with you. Why would I want my man to not be there? And why would I be giving? Don't give men money, okay? Okay. So he's back at the party. He has sex with Matipa. Joyce and her mother. I don't know if they did this as a contrast, but in the beginning of the series, Joyce's mother is kind of an enabler of the bad behavior that happens between Joyce and her husband. So she makes comments about like what Joyce is wearing and how you need to look sexy and you need to like be there, give it up for him. Like what mommy, what you talking about? Okay, he's gonna hear me tell him go get extra hours. Exactly. Babe, so what you gonna do? How you gonna fix this? Most I'll be asking the man, why are you gonna fix this? Okay. So after Jonasi has sex with Matipa, he comes home, and then as he gets in bed, like Joyce was waiting up for him, this is another day, right? Because Joyce didn't just have the baby. Another day, whatever. He's still seeing Matipa. Joyce wants to have sex with him. He goes to sleep immediately. He pretends the sleep is really what it is to not be with her. I said not the mother blaming her for her cheating husband. The woman, and I was thinking about the women who know their man is cheating. I'm 37. I've lived a bit of life. Now, I've never experienced having to tell a woman her man is cheating, and I wouldn't recommend you do it. If you are 100% sure that woman is going to leave the man or going to do something with the information, or that's the relationship you all have, otherwise I would only drop hints and let her figure it out herself, because 9 times out of 10 that woman already knows. She already knows. Joyce got clearance from the doctor. I was waiting for Jonasi and he went to sleep. Yes, he did. My man went to sleep. Okay. Yeah. The women know their man is cheating, but they need more evidence. You already know. To me, your gut is already knowing. Okay. I did not expect Joyce to hit Matipa. Oh yeah, the scene. I made my boyfriend watch this because I was like, I cannot believe this happened. I cannot believe Joyce was suspicious that her husband was cheating, did some digging, found out where the woman was going to be, went to the salon with the woman who she heard talking about, oh yeah, and his wife is so stupid. And Joyce walks by, Matipa sitting in the chair, and whacks her. I said, oh my God, this is ridiculous. You will never, I can't say never. Listen, I used to be a young, silly girl at one time, okay? Once I got some sense about me, I've never fought over a man, but I've been in some drama over a man before. Not no back and forth, because I'm not, girl, you could have him. I'm not, whatever. But we big and grown, fighting over a man, it could have never been me. No, I would not recommend that. Do not go to the woman over the lying, cheating man. Don't do it, right? I'm coming to you as a woman. No, I wouldn't do that. If you want to stay. If you want to work things out with that man, I did. They're not technically out. I still have the brackets on, but I have another appointment like in 2 weeks. I still wear them at night. I'm wearing them like retainers, but thank you. She said I got my they said, I don't know if you Caro Fantastic, guy or gal. They're not really off, but the teeth are in their place. Yeah. This is what I would do, especially if there's a lot of money at stake and you wasn't supposed to be cheated. I'm not dealing with it. So let me know. I'm gonna find out and then I'll move on. But yeah, so they're fighting and Matipa cussing her out, and then Jonasi curses Joyce out for He doesn't say ghetto. They don't talk about ghetto. What's the word that he used? But he's basically saying, "Are you in the streets? Are you for the streets?" I'm like, she's trying to defend your marriage, right? I think it's still a bad idea. But Jonasi being on the side chick side, I was like, girl, you need to run away from this. That was enough. Listen, cheating on me is bad. Cheating on me in public is worse. And humiliated me is even worse. I can't even imagine. I can't even imagine. You're not going to tell me. And then there's scenes, the man is trying to leave and Joyce is grabbing him by the foot. Joyce is trying to get him to stop. I said the desperation. Oh my gosh, Joyce. Yeah, all of this kind of stuff affects the children for sure. So Joyce is aiming for repair and connection, and Jonasi is lying and cheating. She gave him an ultimatum to end the affair or leave. I think she really thought she had power. I don't know what she was thinking. This is like, you don't even know your man. You don't even know your man, because if you listen, if I have to give an ultimatum, I'm prepared to leave 100%. So he starts packing things up, and Joyce starts fighting him. She can't help herself. She's begging him to stay. The way Joyce was holding on to this man was embarrassing. I said, Joyce, what are you doing? Let him go. You cannot make a man stay. You know how they talk about, oh, here's what you can do to keep your man? You cannot keep a man who doesn't want to be kept. What's the way to keep a man? Pick a man who wants to stay with you, who will do whatever it takes to make the relationship last. Okay? Yeah, because Jonasi was saying, you're out of control. He says she changed. She didn't really change. I think she matured. And as you mature as a woman, if you're in a relationship, definitely in a relationship with a man, you need more. What we needed at 20, 22 is different than what we need at 30, 40, because we're different people. Yeah. The actor said that scene was huge for them. Joyce begging. Yeah. And then there's another scene where Joyce is begging, where she runs after the car. She said they did that take multiple times. And she said, I thought I was running so fast. To me, the scene was perfect with her running. I felt like she was running in a speed I would expect. But yeah, oh my goodness. Okay. So Joyce is so upset that in another scene, she brings all the children to the mistress's home. Now, Jonasi bought the home for the mistress, the soon-to-be second wife, who's really the third wife. Did he bite her? I didn't catch the bite. I was like, how did he get her hand off the car? Oh my God. A mess. Everything that I'm saying so far, I think is realistic. A thing that has actually happened with people before. Okay? So, yeah, forcing the children to come to the home of the mistress. She brought the baby. They still have like a young baby. And then at the end of episode 2, Joyce is arrested for setting the fire. In episode 3, Joyce says, this is marriage. I said, this is pretending. And then I was thinking of my favorite definition of love, which is all the actions of love. I applaud Joyce for taking the kids there. He is a package deal, but that was so toxic. What does that do to the kids? What does it do to the kids to be in this back and forth where nobody's explaining to them what's happening or why it's happening? Why is that still gone for a year? Why are you still going forward with the 20-year anniversary renewal? It's toxic. It's so toxic. There are words and actions that would be better responses to the emotions of betrayal. If you feel betrayed and you have anger, you might feel compelled to do something to the other person or the person that your partner is cheating on you with. But it's really better to channel that energy into yourself and doing things that will advance you. Okay. Okay. Fair. That's fair. That's fair. Okay. So they have the renewal, right? So they can't, so Jonasi and Matipa can't go on their trip anymore. And she blackmails Jonasi into doing the vow renewal, right? He does things for money. He cares about money, probably number one. And she went and got it's not a prime minister, it's somebody who's involved in funding something important to come and tell him, hey, you all are a package deal. We picked you because you all are married. The funds are not going to be coming if this is not a strong marriage. So he goes through with the renewal and he looks up at Joyce. This was the picture. He looks up at Joyce with longing when she's walking down. I think, because this man does not know love, I think he started thinking about what they used to have, or how simple, maybe not simple, but how in flow their life used to feel when he was playing his part and she was playing her part. And so he's like, oh, things could go back to the way they used to be. Like, I don't have to deal with all of this confusion and chaos. If I do what makes you happy, I won't really have to talk about my feelings anymore, or hear you talk about your feelings anymore. That's what I think was going through his mind when he was doing this look. You can be fooled into thinking, not that any of y'all are fools, but I think a man like this, because he's charming and engaging, right? You see him, talk to people at work, and you see him at parties and stuff. He is friendly and confident. He is a menace. Okay, he's a agent of chaos. He's not genuine, and if he's doing something good, it's definitely for his benefit primarily. So he said that he missed her after the vow renewal. And I said, girl, what? As I was watching it, I was like, I don't believe nothing you're saying, sir. I don't believe anything you're saying. I don't know why you're doing this. Are you trying to tell me you're falling back in love? I was so grossed out. I was like, you need to, I was thinking this story could go anyway. They could do this vow renewal. She could sign the divorce, and then they could go on with their lives, and then the public can find out whenever they find out. But now that y'all gonna stay together, okay. In episode 4, I said, did Jonasi even say he was sorry? Because he lied, he cheated, he moved out, he embarrassed her in front of the mistress, right? So like the mistress was at the door, came to Jonasi while he's talking to his wife, and he's hugging her and kissing the mistress in front of Joyce. Somebody getting waxed. It was so, you're gonna do all of that to embarrass and humiliate me, not say sorry. I don't even understand. So at this point, right, we don't have the whole story, and I'm wondering, like, what made him leave Joyce in the first place? I don't get it. I think now it's probably whenever the women want him to do things. Okay, thank you so much. Avi, oh my gosh, Avi Ariana. Are you in aviation, Ariana? I couldn't wait for your take on this. Thank you so much. Listen, y'all have some good requests. This was a good one because this is right up my alley. But this was a lot, okay? So yeah, I was just wondering, like, why was he not wanting to be with Joyce? I think it's because when you get into like real life, you're not just lovey-dovey or things are easy, or women are not making requests out of you. Jonasi is fine. The minute the women are asking him to do things like be present, be emotional, hold a baby, take care of something, he doesn't want to deal with it. If he cannot outsource it, he doesn't want to deal with it. So Matipa got fired. It was all a show. When I was watching it, I was like, I don't think this is real. Is this real? He fired her for real? Oh, wow. For real? He fired her? This thing can't be real. This is, okay, well, it wasn't real. I mean, it was all for show, really. And then the scene, listen, so the first scene that took me out was Matipa getting waxed by Joyce in the salon. Yeah, Jonasi wants access, not accountability. Exactly. Matipa was so smart and savvy. I just want her to become the powerful man. Agreed. This was the second scene in the series that took me out. When I said, they don't have HIPAA in South Africa? Okay, why is this doctor saying it's a busy day for Gamoras? Huh? But listen, Joyce running through the hospital to find I listen, yes. Joyce running through and then finding this man. This is the only Jonasi, this is the only thing he wants to do. Like this is the extent of his labor in a relationship. Yeah, Rich, the doctor would spill the beans. Yeah, well, yeah, because Joyce did pay off one of the doctors to lie to Jonasi later in the story. But I was like, you just, what? My heart. Listen, my heart, okay? The twins took me out. And twins, because Joyce she didn't have a miscarriage. She had a pregnancy scare. She thought maybe she was pregnant. She wasn't, you know. Jonasi, remember when the game and his baby mama and Evelyn did a podcast episode together, and I forget what's the game's baby mama name, when she was like, yeah, he said that he wanted to have a baby with me. He was talking about that from the first date, and I'm like, girl, that is how a man says he wants you or that he hates you, just depending. And Jonasi saying that he wants to impregnate his wife isn't love. I think he thinks it's love, but it's not love. Yeah. Jonasi wants adoration and will leave if you don't pay him homage. I don't know. I don't necessarily know if he wants adoration. He wants no stress. Maybe it's adoration. Because Lindani did a lot of the adoration that the other women didn't do, or we didn't. I don't know. I didn't see. I think he's fine as long as you don't complain. I don't think he needs a lot of adoration. I think as long as you don't stress him out or ask him anything, you have to be okay with whatever he's giving, and that's it. So don't disagree with me. Don't give me a hard time. Take the money and shut up. He wants silence. Yes. He wants compliance. I don't think it's necessarily adoration. He wants compliance. Don't complain. You have the clothes, you have the car, you have the nice house, you have as much money as you want. Let me do whatever I want. Don't give me no hard time. So Matipa's mother asks if she loves herself. Well, because she doesn't, This is I separate. There's words for all these things. Yes. The moment he told Matipa, I don't like women who don't listen. Yes. He wants compliance. He wants obedience, right? He wants compliance, obedience, and silence over adoration. Adoration is like an extra thing you could do. He don't need you to do it. He's not primarily in these relationships for adoration. He wants, right? He's acting like a sex addict. I'll get to that in a second. He wants to feel good through means of exploiting people, right? And so I said cluster B, personality disorder, in the beginning. I know you all really want everybody to fit narcissist, right? And there might be narcissism here, but he's probably closer to antisocial. He could be, I don't know what the man is, right? But we know that there's a lot of dysfunction here and that he does a lot of projection, not necessarily idolizing. He doesn't really idolize anyone or need to be idolized. He's very much in I am going to exploit people to get what I need, to get my needs met. But he's not at anybody's stage, right? He's doing all of this stuff in secret. Nobody knows, right? Besides him, being the CEO part. So I really loved, part of why this was a difficult series for me to get through is because it was so beautiful seeing Black families. And I had to watch a love story after. Like after I finished it, I had to watch a love story because I was so disturbed by all of the trauma and the chaos. But and in any family system, right, whether you're dysfunctional or not, there's good times and there's bad times. In dysfunctional family systems, the dysfunction usually is really bad, and then the great times are usually really good. And so you could see that here, like they were still operating with some gentleness with some care, with some curiosity, with some interest with each other, right? Jonasi had a relationship with his kids. And so watching them live their life in this beautiful house with their, kids who have their own interests and stuff, it was really a mind F for me, because I just had to watch something else, because it was beautiful, but then it was so dark. So Matipa is becoming a second wife. Now I do like I don't mind if I like it or not. The cultural aspects of taking a wife, marrying someone in traditional African culture, where you have the traditional wedding and you have, or maybe sometimes you have the white wedding. Matipa wanted a white wedding. Jonasi did not. Right? This is when I say he doesn't really care about the adoration part. Jonasi doesn't want all that spectacle and light on him. He wants to do what he wants to do in the dark. But weren't the weddings beautiful? When they come and they're talking about, we're joining the two families, and you're like, oh, well, you're marrying a menace. You're marrying a menace. She did stay in the room. And I was like, I get it, but I don't get it. If I want to support my child, I'm going to support them even if I don't agree with what they're doing. It's kind of like, to me, when a mother is disappointed in a child for getting pregnant and then says, I'm not going to your baby shower. What are you even doing here? If you don't want to support me, okay. Yeah, I feel most men want compliance and unlimited kitty, so that's why I don't understand the need to label him as some kind of cluster B. To me, the difference between most men and a Jonasi is resources. Well, to me, the difference between a disorder, right, a personality disorder, and then you see in the DSM and regular people, is intensity. How much does it affect your life? Most people have experience with anxiety. Most people do not meet criteria for an anxiety disorder. Most men are conditioned under the patriarchal system. Most men do not lie and cheat, especially with multiple women like Jonasi. Most men are operating from a dominance hierarchy. That is true. Most men are not abusers. So we're talking about intensity. Does that make sense? I can worry. I can experience worry, right? I'm reflecting a lot on my YouTube channel growing, coming to a lot of people. I can worry about it. I can have thoughts about what am I going to do? I can say I want to plan. But then there are people with anxiety disorders who then cannot record a YouTube video for fear of what other people will say about them, because now they've attracted so many people. I know what you're saying. And I don't disagree. I don't think most men are worth being in a relationship with, but it's really a fallacy to equate a man being conditioned under patriarchy and thinking he's entitled to women. Most men think they're entitled to women. That is true. Most men think they're entitled to women, but most men are not abusers. Most men are not abusers. I didn't understand the turn he took to domestic violence since he was a seducer mainly. This is part of what is very realistic. His presentation is exactly what I would expect to get to domestic violence. The choking of the son, the throwing things down, this is often how domestic violence escalates. Men do not just start hitting in the first year. That's rare. It usually is a pattern that builds and usually comes out the more stress there is in the family or the dynamic, right? So a man who loses his job, did y'all hear the statistic that when there are different sports games, domestic violence increases? There usually are trigger points, things that happen in people's lives that then increase their abusive behavior. But I'll explain it more when it comes. Thank you. That's an important distinction. I have a low tolerance for BS, so I haven't appreciated the different intensities that can exist. Listen, I have a low tolerance too, right? I describe myself as a lever, but I think it's important to, especially with the platform that I have, being a licensed psychologist, and I'm one of the best at what I do, okay? I don't play about psychology or accuracy or ethics, right? And so in a world where people are misusing psychological language, I'll be the voice of reason to help people understand. Even though most men are not abusers, I still do not think most men are worth being in a relationship with, right? The weaponized incompetence is not something that abusers do. These are regular men doing weaponized incompetence. I don't think you should be with a man like that. We don't have to say all men are abusive to say you don't need to be with that one. We could say he's a regular guy. Average guys, regular guys, they go to work, they're doing the best they can, they have a job. And that's it. Well, he doesn't really believe in advocating for women or your opinion that much. He's still trying to impress other men. But then again, most women are still trying to impress other men. So it's like, that's why I want you to center yourself. Like, focus on what you want. Focus on being the best version of yourself that you can be so that you can weed out these guys and I would encourage you to have a low tolerance at the first red flag to just get away. I don't think it's worth it. Life is too short. I'm not doing any of that. Okay. So the rest of my notes come from all the episodes. I don't have any names for the episodes. I just started taking notes because I was like, this is getting to be too much. Okay. So, right, Matipa becomes the second wife. Freedom is Essie's son, right? Freedom, the one who's the alcoholic. He is an alcoholic because of parents, right? Children that develop addictions, they usually start in teenage years as a way to cope with life. And living in secret is very stressful to children. Secrets fester. There should be no secrets in families. Yeah. Hey, the Chandra Lachey. Hey, Dr. Shareece. I had to light some sage after this show. Listen, I was so disturbed, but the show is so realistic. So hid Sarah from everyone. Yeah, Sarah's the one in the back. Now, maybe we should talk about, because I don't know if I took much notes. Sarah, remember we had the talk about jealousy a little bit, envy, how envy is really what people mean when they say jealousy, right? You're jealous, you have something and you don't want other people to have it, so you feel jealous, right? That's my man. My man can't go with nobody else. I'm jealous if he's going with somebody else. Sarah was envious of Mpume. That is Jonasi's daughter, her sister. So she knows that here is my siblings living in this big house, living the life that I want. I think the first inkling we see of her jealousy, I think, because I wasn't paying attention before, I was just like, why is she always walking around so sneaky? Okay. She looks so sneaky. Freedom actor is usually in romantic movies. Glad to see him in a different light. Nice. And I heard that Matipa, I didn't hear, I was watching an interview with Matipa and she says she's been typecast as the side chick. She has a vixen look about her, but I think she would be perfect in a rom-com. So I feel like if she hasn't done one of those, that would be really cute because she is stunning. Okay. Yeah. So the first, I think Sarah was sneaking around, right? Sarah is in the back from Essie at the top. I was like, why does she always look like she menacing or sneaking around or something? She says some of the strangest things. Now in context, I understand why she was saying the things she was saying. The first thing she did was say, I want an iPhone. I want an iPhone like my sister, right? She wants to be her sister, honestly, is what it is. So, you know what this girl does? She steals her sister. We don't know that it's her sister at the time, but we figure it out. She steals her sister's iPhone. Find My iPhone is on the phone. So Mpume comes over to the house and says, Freedom, you took my iPhone. Because Freedom is the one who's always drunk and doing stuff and, you know, the bad one in the family, right? So she confronts him. He's like, I don't know what you're talking about. I don't have nothing for you, whatever. Essie knows her daughter. So eventually she does say, you need to give her back her phone. She doesn't ask her if she has it. She just says, you need to give it back. And Sarah acts like, I don't know what you're talking about. Yeah, I think so too. Freedom was silver enough to talk that Sarah stole it. We never, I think she got rid of the phone. We never like see her get rid of the phone, but there is a scene later on where Jonasi gets her a Mac computer, and when she opened, was it a Mac or was it the phone? It might have been the phone. Whatever it was Apple something. And she pulls it out and she's like, I asked for this months ago, which is so appropriate for a child to a parent when they're sharing exactly how they've incest. Oh, she's not related to him. That's not her father. Is it? You mean uncle? We'll get to it. But this is why it's like that's also very realistic. I did see it coming. I knew it was coming. Before it started, I knew it was coming. When she put up his picture, I knew it was coming. Okay, so Sarah has issues. There's a lot of internal pain that she cannot get out because the truth of her existence is not available to the people. Yeah, oh, the uncle gave her the MacBook. Thank you. I know there was like both. So the next thing that she does to show her envy is she's having a conversation because she's friends with her sister. Like in regular life, she's like, right, this is like we're cousins. We're supposed to be cousins, right? So they're like friends. And so they're in her room or wherever they are having a conversation about guys and whatever. It's one of the first when I had a suspected Lindani as well. I know these playbooks. They did this story well that somebody like me who works with these populations can see it. I promise you, okay? I've worked with people who've done incest between siblings, between father, daughter. I know the story of these folks. They're predictable in the way that trauma is predictable in the way that it affects children, depending on what stage they are at. So I saw the stuff coming. When Sarah was listening to her sister talk about her boyfriend and about how, oh, he would never cheat on me, I knew that girl was plotting. He never cheated on you. I bet I could get him to cheat. Okay. I bet I could get him to cheat. All classic signs. Yes. Yeah. And guess what? I knew that the guy was having sex with other people. I don't know that, but based on how he responded to Mpume saying, no, I'm not ready yet. I really want my first time with you to be special. His facial expressions, not disgust, maybe resentment on his face when she was telling him no to sex. I said, oh, this guy is having sex with somebody else. Yeah. Yeah. Honestly, it felt like a typical storyline, like a typical, but I think, right, art imitates reality, reality imitates art. Like it feels like a typical storyline because it's stuff that happens in the real world. So Sarah does oral sex on her sister's boyfriend and wants to be found. The door is open. She's not hiding. She does it in her friend's bedroom, in her cousin sister. She does it in Mbume's bedroom. The chaos that ensues took me out. And another example, you can find many of these examples of Jonasi not wanting to be bothered with anything, right? Joyce asked Jonasi to go help his daughter because this woman is heaving. This young lady, I feel like she's, I don't know, 20. She is heaving at the pain of catching your lover in the act with another. Okay, if you've ever been heartbroken, I've never caught nobody doing nothing, but I can only imagine what I already have felt from heartbreak. Adding that to you have the real life evidence in your face. Oh, I would be, oh my gosh, broken. Jonasi don't want to deal with it. No, you deal with it. That's Jonasi for every emotional, every request that's given to Jonasi to do something that he don't want to do, he says no to. So all this confusion back home with Sarah and her mother, Essie, Sarah accidentally pushes her mother down the steps. She learned from her mama that you can have their man. Exactly. Yeah, yeah. And you can get certain men like that. Honestly, you probably could get at least half of the kind of men through seduction. Um, Sad but true. So pushes her down the stairs. This scene showed me how little affection he had for his daughter. Yes, Susie. Um, how little affection Jonasi has for everybody. Jonasi cares about nobody. When you see later in the series how he talks to his brother, who's gone out of his way to support him, Jonasi cares about nobody. Okay, he barely loves himself. So, is Jonasi a sex addict? Sex addiction is not a real diagnosis. Is he using sex to regulate his emotions? I think so. Right? Which is what I think people who engage in compulsive activities do. Every time they feel some anxiety, some stress, any type of negative emotion, they are running to their comfort. I know that broke my heart. But honestly, I feel like I had just, when I'm not seeing a client, I don't take on, I'm just talking about vicarious trauma. I don't take on vicarious trauma. Part of it is I don't feel responsible for the growth of my client. So when when a client of mine does well, it's not me. I am the psychology expert. I'm the guide. I don't take on like, oh my gosh, I fixed my client. I can't fix anybody. I can give you the tools, and I feel really grateful and honored to be able to give you these tools and help hold this space to help you process this thing. But I don't take it on as like, oh, I won something or I did that. And so similarly, I don't take it on when people tell me their traumas or their stress. I hold it here for them, and then I release it at the end of the session. I don't hold on to it. But I'm wondering if I have a memory of something like that, when I saw Mpume reading, the kind of courage it takes to confront, if you've never, right? I grew up in a household, my father has delusions, right? He still has them. The man is not well. But at the time as a child, having really little understanding about what mental health thing is, this going on, I just felt like I was walking on eggshells. I would not have had the courage to read anything out loud to my father. That would have never happened. So watching Mpume do it, I was like, oh my gosh, my nerves, oh my gosh. And watching the heartlessness of Jonasi, I felt like somebody had told me a story like this before. I felt like I was reliving a story I had heard at some point in my career. And so it hurt even more, right? This one I started clicking. I don't need to hear the rest of this letter. I don't need to. I'm so triggered at the pain that this man is causing. That's why I couldn't be in the field. I would hold on to it. No, I don't hold on to it. I've had really, really good supervisors. From the very first trauma story I heard through a mental health professional. So it wasn't their trauma story. They were telling me the trauma story of a child. I cannot forget that. This is the first trauma story I ever heard when I was like 20. I was working in, this is a story for a different day. I was working in juvenile detention centers. The things I've heard, when I tell you, I think incest is probably between a father and a daughter. It's probably one of the worst. And when it goes, especially if it goes on for more than one time, that's probably the worst trauma story I've heard. But there are different ones that affect me in different ways. And the very first trauma story I've ever heard, I cannot forget. But I don't hold on to them. Being someone who has a life a bit similar to Mpume, I was so angry for her. Yeah, I was so angry. I was so angry for her too. Like, just hit him in his head with a bat. I don't condone violence, but the who said it was toxic, but I liked it. I don't condone violence, but if Mpume decided to bash him with some hot water, my dream was to be a therapist, but I wouldn't know how to release me. Oh, wait. But I've been thinking of going back to school. They teach you how to do it. And this is why licensure and professionalism is important. You need training to handle these things. You do. Sometimes people's personal histories get in the way. Like we're taught also about the importance of doing your own reflection. One of the reasons why I am so good at what I do is I don't bring my stuff. I don't bring my stuff to the therapy session. I've already dealt with my stuff. And any ongoing things that I need, I know exactly where to go to process my own stuff. So I can help people get to where they want to go and be happy. Okay. Back to Sarah she really did accidentally push her mother down the steps, but this triggers. So that to me was not realistic, but distress creating the pathway for Sarah, the truth about Sarah to come out to the family was realistic. So they are in the hospital, right? Essie's in the hospital. They're trying to reach Jonasi. Sarah is calling. Jonasi calling him dad, right? This is not a thing known to people. And, right, Joyce comes to the hospital to take care of things. And Pume figures things out but doesn't say anything about it. And did she get the worst of it? The worst of the children? Yeah. Her mother also got the least of him, the least of Jonasi, the crumbs. She only got crumbs, which is very sad. So it starts to come out through the distress of her mother being in a hospital and it being her fault that this is another one of Jonasi's children. Okay. Sarah then after all the truth comes out, Sarah wants to be a part of his work. And I was like, girl, this is why therapy is so important, because your therapist would have said, this is not a good idea. Going to your father's job is not a good idea. Planning to have lunch with him, girl, I might as well not going to show up. He only cares about himself, right? There's a way to stress this. I stopped taking notes. I said, now Jonasi is fighting with his brother. I forget, what was he fighting with his brother about? I forget. But then the next note I have is now, oh God. Now Jonasi is having sex with Lindani. Lindani is his son's crush. In the book, where's Lind? I don't have Lindani, but I have Menzi. Menzi over here is the son. He has a crush on a young woman named Lindani. Lindani grew up, I don't think she grew up poor necessarily, but she doesn't have a lot of access to resources. Now, I didn't really catch, like, she worked in a bar with her mother, bar-ish restaurant, sleazy kind of looking, with her mother. I didn't catch the messaging that her mother was giving her. Jay and brother fought because how he was treating the women. Well, okay, I don't remember. Is it because the fighting, when he was abusing them, when he hit them? Is that it? What made Jonasi so mad? The women were standing up to him, and then Matipa was trying to take his money. I knew that physical violence was coming as she was sitting in, I believe the mother wanted her to focus on working at the bar. Okay. I knew that physical violence was coming when Matipa looked so afraid when she was trying to finesse the lady to give her however much money she wanted to, like, run away. I knew it was coming because I understand these men. To me, this was exactly like Cassie and Diddy. Because I know these stories so intimately, in my review that I did on Cassie and the lawsuit, whatever, I was talking about how I can hear the words that Diddy would tell to Cassie. I can imagine them clearly, what he would be telling to her to get her to engage in these freak offs. I could see it. And I could see how she would have to break apart parts of herself internally to do what he said, or else her life was on the line. Physical violence would come. I don't think I ever mentioned, I don't know if I put it in my video on him. I used to follow Diddy on Snapchat, and he was in New York City on a rooftop, like doing a video like this, and he was all happy, right? I think this was when he was calling himself happy or some variation of that. And oh no, brother love. And one of his security officers was in the background of his shot, and his mask came off. And the vitriol that he used to tell this man to get out of his shot, I said, "Oh, this man is a danger. This man is a danger." I can see it so clearly. It hurts my heart if I think about it too much. Sometimes the energy builds up in me after 3 months, and I have to make a video with me crying. Okay, it was too much. It was too much. Okay, when I watched the series for the first time, I was angry with Lindani, but the second time I really felt sorry for her. She didn't have good cards in her life. Yes, and this is part of why it was so triggering to me. I don't have a picture of Lindani. I just, any sex scene that they did, I had to skip through. I felt I was watching somebody be groomed, and I know this is a TV show, but when things in a TV show happen in real life, I feel like I'm watching real life, and it hurts. It hurts me. Okay, I cannot deal with it. I can't. I watched one of my friends. This is back when I think I was a teenager. I'm very sensitive. Okay, my boyfriend says that you are so sensitive, not as like a negative, but as like like I need to be gentle, right? Like a reminder to be gentle. I watched Saw. Somebody invited me to watch Saw, one of the Saw movies. Can you imagine me watching Saw? And when the sledgehammer came out and I think broke somebody's bone or something, I said, oh, I have to go. I know this is a movie, but this has happened to people in real life, and I cannot handle it. I can't handle it. I had to go. And I went and I watched Happy Feet. Okay, yeah, I remember Lindani saying her mother didn't want to pay for her test or something because she didn't think she could do anything other than work at the bar. Yeah, the DV didn't shock me. I was thinking, how worse can this guy be? Exactly. Matipa should have disappeared after stealing his money. Well, she didn't get the money. She was going to disappear, but she didn't get the money. It was so disgusting. No, it was so disgusting. Jonasi stopped the money from going. He froze all her accounts, so she couldn't go, and he came before she could get away. Oh, so scary stuff. I mean, it gives me chills. I'm so disturbed. Gave me chills. Oh my God, today. This is a lot. This is some people's real life. In a lot of families, it don't even matter what class distinction they are at, but when you get into the upper middle class, upper class, now people have access to money and resources, which means their trauma, their abuse can be amplified. They can make it bigger. They can affect more people. And it's so disturbing. Also, the first time Jonas showed signs of violence was the vase he broke and the attempted strangulation of his son. Yes, I know it would get worse. Right. And even him having the capacity to do those things, wouldn't you divorce the man then? Yes, when he broke the vase, I knew. Yeah. Yeah, this is how the things build. So now he's having sex with Lindani too, and he knows his son likes her. I was so disturbed. When like an unrealistic part is Menzi, his son, seeing Lindani perform oral sex on him. So that's not believable. I would expect him to find out maybe through energy, right? Like when you're in the room with two people who've had sex, their energy is now linked. And so you could tell if they've seen each other naked. I thought that was a more believable, or even like when Jonasi was like grabbing Lindani in the kitchen of his house. To me, that would have been a time when, yeah, they probably, walked in. But at the like nightclub, I didn't really see that as believable. Yeah, Joyce said in some argument after, I think she found Lindani, Joyce said, we made you. We made you, Jonasi. Don't forget the J and J. I'm one of the J's, okay? I thought Menzi was going to die of a heart attack when he saw them together. I thought he probably was having an anxiety attack. And this is his villain arc. Have you heard the men who talk about their first love and how she didn't want him and she cheated on him with his best friend or something, and now he hates women forever? That's what I thought when I saw that. I don't think, you know how the series ended with like Joyce saying, and Menzi will never be like you, and then we have the shot of Menzi basically doing what Jonasi was doing. I don't think Menzi will be as bad as Jonasi, but he probably will be a womanizer. Maybe not an abuser, but a womanizer. Speaking to intensity from before. So, right. So he was physically abusive to Joyce. He also raped her. She talks about it later. And then physically abusive to Matipa. And Matipa said she thought he wanted to kill her. Right? He was hitting her so much that it's like I think he was trying to kill me. The women finally coming together, the women, Joyce and Matipa, finally coming together to have conversations about their shared experience with a man. I'm like, why couldn't y'all do this before? Why does it have to be over the pain that he's caused you all? When Joyce said we're gonna take a second wife and you're gonna marry Matipa, you would think that she would have respected her, or been kind to her, but she was still calling now your second wife that you know about a whore and a skank and all of that. There's also the scene in the kitchen where he said, "Talk to me with respect." I thought, I taught you. I thought, okay, you can sleep with a girl, but where you draw the line is the way she talks to you. Yeah. Well, everything is a means to an end for him. So everything starts and ends with obedience. He's saying talk to me with respect, but he really means obedience. Do not give me any pushback. She's very disturbing. My first boyfriend blames me for all his misfortunes to this day. We did it in 8th grade. Oh, yes. When men are socialized to believe they are powerful, they're the best, and that women are always the problem. And so a man who's operating from that paradigm, no matter what happens in his life, he will find a way to blame women. And you can see it in our society with the way people demonize single mothers, why we even have like a single mother, label versus a single father, or like we don't focus more on the men who abandon their children. That's all a product of misogyny, blaming women for things. It's sad. Is men being traumatized by their first heartbreak one that got away a real common problem or just blown out of proportion? I don't have a statistic on that. I know it's something that comes up in pop culture. So I'm not surprised. I don't see a lot of men. The men I see aren't usually talking about like teenage love, but they are usually caught up on one particular. Yeah. I think I've heard enough stories to know that it's a thing. I don't know how big of a thing it is. I have no statistic on that. But a lot of the men who say negative things about women will use one woman as an example for those negative things. You don't even know all women. You just know this one woman who, had poor character. That's not reflective of all women. Okay. So he was physically abusive, right? So they focus on different people in the series back and forth. I just thought they did a really great job. They got gonorrhea. Who gave them gonorrhea? I think it probably was from Lindani. And then he infected Joyce. When Joyce got the positive result, I was like, you are still sleeping with this man? All this unprotected. I said, I don't know. How are y'all? I don't know. Oh, and then because I forgot to mention, because back when I was trying to talk about his how he uses sex, not for connection, right? But as a means to process his feelings, power, domination. After Matipa had the twins, she had the twins by C-section. She could not, right, for 6 weeks, you have to let the stitches heal, your body heal, all that stuff. He came over to the house, not to check on her or see how she was doing. He came over for sex. And I was like, your wife, your first wife has had 3 children. You know how this works. You know that there's no sex for 6 weeks. Why would you come over here looking for sex? And he's like, your mouth still works. And pushes her head down. I said, bite it. I was so disturbed. But I was on TikTok, this is months ago, probably last year, with the medical professionals talking about how coercive the men, the husbands can be, are with their wives who just gave birth, how they have to redo stitches, how there are infections that they have to treat because the man couldn't wait and essentially raped his wife. Oh God, I don't know what to say. It's unfortunate, but I have a friend who is married who went through the same thing. What you mean the same thing with the baby thing? We're both only 27. I don't know. The Unpunishable Woman is on YouTube. She doesn't want to be partnered with a man. So, I'm not directing you to her content for that. I'm the one who wants to be partnered with a man. And so I talk about healthy relationships, toxic relationships, red flags, those kind of things. She's going to talk about all the dangers of men. And she did a few videos on sex. Something about you don't know a man until you see him aroused. I mean, there's lots of ways to get, you know what I mean? You don't know a man if you've only seen him at his house or at a restaurant. You really don't know a man if you've not met his family or his friends or, seen him at work. Like, there are lots of different variations of a person. When it comes to sex, it's usually just both of you in the room. And so, yes, you don't know a person until you experience the fullness of who they are. So the first sexual encounter you have with somebody that you're getting to know or in a relationship with is a big dose of information. And you need to be paying attention to how this person is approaching sex. Do they want to please you? Are they invested in you? Are they present with you? Are they caring? Are they prioritizing your needs? Or is this about power and domination? And what happens when you say no? Now, I encourage you all to tell a man no in general, right? And there's different ways to say no than using the word no. So, do you want to go out on Thursday? Oh, Thursday doesn't work for me. How about Friday or Saturday? That's a way of saying no. I'm not available that day. I can't do that. There are going to be many opportunities for you to have a life and not be available or whatever. And so you need to tell a man no. You need to see how he responds to you saying no, right? For actual things in life. But also, you need to know how does that man act when you say no to sex? And not because you're sick, not because you're on your cycle, not because there's no external reason. I don't want to. Why you don't want to? I don't know. I'm not in the mood. I just took a shower. I don't know. I don't want to. How does he respond to you saying no because you don't want to? Right? Jonasi is not the kind of man, he's abusive. This is an abusive man. He's not the kind of man who would take kindly to any of the no's. He wants obedience. Are you dealing with a man who wants obedience or feels like he's entitled to your body? Okay. The Unpunishable Woman will give you some really good, I think, insights into the way men think. and which ones to stay away from for sure. So I was getting the sense that Jonasi didn't want to take his medication for the STD. Okay. Then he got physically abusive. And I was like, now, ladies, you all need to get together and beat this man up. I don't condone violence. But I was like, y'all need to beat him up. What is this? And then I said, maybe Magesh has some standards because he was advocating for the women. But when you really look at the full picture of Magesh, he was like Jonasi's brother. He was an enabler the whole time. He was complicit in hiding Essie and Sarah from the world. He was talking about how he put his life on hold in order to keep up with this lie. And Jonasi fired him when he spoke up. I just, why do you think Essie kept that lie for so long? Because a piece of a man was better than no man? But she had other men, pieces of other men. I don't know. It was just so toxic. Just so toxic. Everybody, just everything, just so toxic. But I was glad when Magesh finally stood up for the women. Matipa abandons her children. Are we not seeing this? I don't know if you all are aware of the wizard Liz. I never watched her content. I didn't care enough about her to do a video about it. I felt like everybody covered it pretty well. But the wizard Liz is from a different country. She partnered with an American man. The American man was probably a demon and is basically saying, you can't have access to your child unless you want to fight and give me money. So she left her child. I would support a woman doing that. Honestly, for your sanity, I would support a woman leaving her child. You're going to mentally deplete yourself to fight a losing battle? Let him have the child. It's sad, but even Matipa leaving was realistic to me. Essie and Magesh are the ones who helped Jonasi to be the monster he is. They definitely enabled his bad behavior, for sure. They could have, there's a lot of points where different decisions could have been made. Essie got the house and car she wanted and probably felt Jonasi owed her for sending him to school. She felt owed by Jonasi? She just got crumbs. Okay, she got the house and the car, and then for 20 years, she just got an allowance and him visiting her every 6 months, once every 6 months. Maybe he felt like he owed her. Honestly, I felt like he kept her as a way to hold on to his past that he was so ashamed of. How he treated her, the kind of house, because he could have upgraded her house. The kind of house, where she lived, all of that to me was a reflection again of how Jonasi only cares about himself and he's doing things for himself. If my first wife makes me mad, I'm going to my second wife because I want to have sex. Yeah, I think so too. I think she really loved him. But I think she was okay with crumbs, sadly. Essie was his past, yeah. Essie was his past. I think Matipa was what he thought he deserved, right? The kind of woman he wanted to actually be seen with. And Lindani, I think, represented his desire for power and dominance. I can be a 45-year-old man and I can have a 20-something-year-old, right? I could see him beating his chest. I'm him, right? I've reached, I can buy this now. I can afford, because a woman like Lindani is not going to be with a man like Jonasi if he doesn't have resources. He's going to have to say, here's my card if you want to keep her around. Very materialistic. And we've seen this, right? We've seen this. Lots of people are operating like that. So we see Jonasi, after he gives Lindani the card to go buy something, another woman comes to the door saying that she is, why are they cutting grass right now? Another woman comes to the door saying that she is Matipa's friend. Matipa has already left, right? I thought that that woman was sent by Matipa. It turns out that woman was sent by Joyce. Okay. You say I had a soft spot for Essie just because she was the first, so maybe she experienced the best of him and was stuck on his potential. Essie knew that he was a liar and a cheater. I didn't recognize her. Until they did the flashback. I definitely thought she was there to set him up, but I didn't realize it was the lady that said she had HIV. But back to Essie, right? Essie was lying for him when they were kids. When Jonasi was hiding behind, kissing some other girl, and another girl came to the front looking for him, Essie lied for him. I think she's just used to lying. Why didn't she just move on to somebody else? I don't know. She did have a child with somebody else, but they had something sweet, I guess. If I give a man money, first of all, don't give a man money. But if I give a man money and then he run off and then don't call me back when he say he's gonna call me back at the end of his schooling, that man is dead to me. But I guess when you show up with a nice shiny BMW, it's easy to get into. It's easy to forgive. Essie enabled a lot of his bad behavior. Yes. And so again, we don't get these women's backstory, but I think the guy she had freedom for was not a good guy. And yeah, Essie saw his wedding photo in a paper too and still took him back. Yeah. But she seemed more in the village, like in traditional culture. So it made sense to me why she would say yes to his proposal, because she would be comfortable being a second wife. I think she was very much comfortable being a second wife. Now, when they show up at the store shopping for baby clothes and he see his first wife there and lie about how this is his brother's wife, I said, listen, I am not a good liar. All of that would have come out right then. And then there are also flashbacks of them, Magesh pretending to be her husband, and they coming to have dinner at the house. I understood why Joyce was mad at Essie. I didn't understand why she was so mad at Essie, but I understood why she was mad. You came in here, you ate my food, and you didn't even hint to me that you were married to my man. Diabolical. Okay? A mess. So, yeah, I wish they had beat him up. So, yeah, the lady that Joyce met at the jail is the one who gave Jonasi HIV. I wondered if Lindani at some point got HIV, but we never get that. 2 years later, Jonasi is still with Lindani. I said the little girl because she was definitely acting like a little girl. Very materialistic, right? But this is how she was kind of conditioned to be, to value those things. And when you're that young, you don't know that you're being groomed, or that you were groomed, or that you were taken advantage of, or that somebody was exploiting you. Because we even see one time Lindani thought they were going to like meet investors or his colleagues or something, and it looks like they went to a party with sex workers. She's just standing there watching her man cuddle and grab up another woman. Okay, what can she do about it? This is what you exchange for money, right? Your dignity. Ooh, I don't think it's worth it. So anyway, he's still with Lindani, and his ego has led him to refuse care. In the interview I watched with the Joyce character, what's her name? Gugu? She said his nobody dies from, not nobody, right? But HIV/AIDS is so treatable now. It, like, people have gotten their, is it T-scores? It's so long since I've learned about HIV. The numbers that show up as high, people have gotten those to be so low that they're undetectable. The immune system remains strong if you take certain medication. You do not have to die of HIV. Jonasi's refusal to see like a Western doctor, T cells, thank you. I know. I love being a little sharp. The reason he refused to take the medication is just ego. He's right. Why would I take the medication if I don't have HIV? I ain't want you tell a doctor, I don't have HIV. I don't have HIV. I don't have HIV. Like, bro, I'm just reading you the test results. What you mean you don't have? Okay. So he's doing all kind of herbal medicine, all that stuff. And of course, he gets worse and worse and worse. Joyce was a little snobbish towards Essie. Bitter, yeah. Yes, I caught that when Essie came to give the soup she had made, and Joyce wanted to throw it in a sink. Yes, and then Joyce also made the comment after Jonasi died. She said, "I can't even have him to myself in death." Why would you have him to yourself in debt? Like, what? Why? What ego you have that now you feel you want to have some power, ownership, some of that "I'm the first wife" energy? That's ridiculous. And it just made her look like a villain, right? It to me, it showed what I try to tell y'all all the time. It takes two toxic people to be in a toxic relationship. You cannot have this level of chaos if only one person is toxic. In order for it to keep going and to cycle, you need multiple toxic people. And when Jonasi died, you got to see that the one person who actually wanted change, wanted healing, wanted, something that was in the opposite end of bitter was Mpume. She became a psychologist. I thought it was so cool. And she called up her sister in the end, because if we keep doing this separation, this divide, we're just going to continue the toxicity. She wanted to be recognized as wife in the end because she thought it meant something. What did it mean if this man just caused you confusion and chaos for most of the time that y'all were together? She became a villain when she failed at protecting her children. I agree. These are the kinds of children who will come to me and talk about how great their mother was with them growing up. She was a great mother. She was always there. She listened to me. My father was a demon from hell. My father probably had a personality disorder. My father wreaked havoc. My father was abusive, right? They'll go on and on about how terrible their father was. And I say, and when your father choked your brother, what did she do? She had sex with him. What? The woman is just as complicit in the abuse and harm as the man. Now, she's not as much culpable, right? So she doesn't bear the responsibility. She's not the one that was actually choking. But in these dynamics, children often think that the mother or one of the parents was the savior, whichever one took a more passive role in the relationship was like a savior to them, saved them from most of the heartache. And I try to get them to understand you have to acknowledge your mother's role in keeping the chaos going. Because it's terrible. It matters that you acknowledge that your mother could have done something different and she didn't. Otherwise, you'll do something similar to your mother, thinking that you're doing the right thing or something helpful, and you're not. Yeah. And then I said there is a humility in death or dying. There's a book that I've mentioned before. It's called Tuesdays with Maury, and it documents the author of the book going to visit one of his mentors who is dying from ALS, right? The degenerative disease where people slowly lose all their motor functioning. It's a sad disease, right? And I think it's very painful for people to watch someone experience it. And I think it's also very painful for the person experiencing it. But being taken care of as you die, you have to have a humility in it. Like, for a man who was so caught up in his ego, oh, and I have a good picture. Not this one. For a man who was so caught up in his ego, Joyce did knock him out the chair. I said, "Ooh, she really angry." For a man who's so caught up in ego to have to rely on other people, the suffering that he experienced was appropriate to the damage that he caused. Oh, I didn't know it was they made it into a movie. I don't know if I could watch that. I would be crying. I was crying with the book. But I think it was a beautiful example of releasing, what's the word? Surrender. A beautiful example of what it means to surrender to its universe, source, life, that there are things you cannot control. You don't know when you're going to die. Right now, you know that somebody has to change you. Somebody has to take care of you. Somebody has to bring you food. You can fight that and build resentment to it and be angry about it, or you can make peace with it. Now, we don't have to die in this kind of way, right? Everybody's going to get ALS or not take medication for HIV. But when it is your time to go, I would hope you have peace with the life you've lived and release, you know? So everything that happened to him, Lindani not caring about how he was doing downstairs, right? The reason he was with Lindani was because he did not want other people to see him suffer. All the ego, I'm the big bad man, I could do whatever I want, you can't tell me nothing, everybody has to obey me. He can't do that if he's frail. And so he's very upset that he can't do that. That's why he wanted to stay with Lindani. He did not want to go with Joyce because Joyce would want to hold him accountable and talk about all the things he didn't do. He don't want to hear none of that. Just give me Lindani. She's going to go out and do what I want. I think she's beneath me. So I'm really not going to feel no kind of ways with whatever she says. But Lindani had him in the floor of the shower, washing him down like an animal. Oh, my God. He also told his son, if you find a woman, take her from a man. Yeah, isn't that some craziness? Now, who said that? In the office? Who was saying that? I think it was Michael to Jim about Pam. She's not married. I think it was it Michael? There is some, you know how some women say, your man is not going to be somebody else's husband. But then they show Alicia Keys. Listen, humans are human. I let people be human. But yeah, this is so toxic. So the scene where the family is singing happy birthday to him, I did not think he deserved that. But whatever. After, because Lindani, this is Lindani. I don't have no picture of Lindani. Lindani wheeled him to Joyce's book signing, right? Joyce got her, which degree did she get? I think she got an advanced degree. Joyce got an advanced degree, wrote a memoir. She was having a party. Lindani brought this man in the wheelchair. Lindani was living in a pigsty, having sex with other men while she was there, just taking the man's money. She convinced him to put the house in her name. Listen, finesse, do what you gotta do. If Lindani was with this man and he was able-bodied long enough, he would be treating her the same way that he treated the other women. Because Lindani had a miscarriage. But if she had a child by that man, she would be having it would just accelerate the experience with him, because your attention shifts from being available to whenever he wants, which these women are usually fine with. Whatever he wants is fine with me. But then once another person, the child, comes into the picture, you cannot give that man your full attention. And because he's a man that wants obedience, what do you mean you can't give me your full attention? I'm going somewhere else. I'm leaving, right? Look at all the scenes where he just leaves. I'm leaving. I'm not dealing with this. I'm leaving. You can't give me what I want. I'm leaving, right? Very messed up. So, yeah. Okay. So, yeah, he's refusing to see a doctor after he dies, or when he dies. I don't know. I mean, Joyce goes down when he's dying, like on that last night. Menzie had been spending a lot of time with him, like bringing him beers and stuff. And I thought, I guess he's like making peace with his father before he goes. I think Joyce was still doing like the image thing, right? Part of the not letting Essie see him. It's just part of her own ego stuff. Also, what frustrated me was the fact that Joyce owns 50% of the company, but never knows how to be involved in it. Magesh was fired and the company was in trouble. I think if she had been involved, yeah, I agree. The situation would have been different. I think so too. But she was raised to be a wife, not a businesswoman. Although I think she did get into business stuff, but yeah, why wasn't she more involved in the business? Because she was having a conversation with her mother at some point about taking a break from content creation and being an ambassador and focusing more on family, which is what she did before when the kids were younger, and she didn't like doing that all the time. So yeah, so even Mpume forgave her father. Essie was never given that opportunity because every time she tried to come around to see him in his last days, Joyce would just wield her I'm the wife power, even though Essie technically knew him first. I heard the author say in the book Joyce met Jonasi when they were like 16. But whatever, they got married around the same time. It don't even matter in the series. I said, why is Joyce crying so hard for him? But as you see her cry progress, it just looks like relief, right? I think what was like pain and frustration and anger then turned into peace and acceptance and relief that this terrorizer is gone. And I was like, I guess. But then what she did next about not even wanting Essie at the funeral, I was like, why is she so mad? Why is Joyce so mad about the body? What girl? The way she was talking to Essie, I will end you. I will end you. I said, girl, for his body, just burn that thing. Just burn it. If Mpume knew that her father abused her mother, I don't think she would forgive him. That's a good point. He did enough. Remember, forgiveness is not for the other person, it's for yourself, so that you don't walk around with all of that heaviness on you. I don't know if she would have or not, because eventually she did forgive her sister, Sarah, right? That's what the calling Sarah up at the end at his funeral is a representation of. She's letting go of all of this baggage, not holding on to it anymore, not feeling like she's justified in her anger, releasing it, and just acknowledge your sister. Anyway, Joyce wanted control of him at the end. Yeah, I completely agree. So I was very happy when Mpume brought up Sarah at the funeral, but you could see how the women are chaotic too. Even without this man alive, listen, the drama. But to me, this is the chaos that Joyce represented to me, and how she could stay in a relationship for so long with an abuser, because she has this control energy inside of her. Like, I have to get things to be a certain way, and I will do it at any means necessary. A mess. Joyce went through a lot to kill that man. Oh yeah, remember when she gave him borax? And it made him so sick and he thought he had a heart attack. They told him he had a heart attack. Should have made sure he was 60. I was like, I thought it was going to work. Because after it didn't work, I was like, so wait, how does he die? We see him dead at the beginning. How does it die? Matipa showed up to her husband's funeral with her new man. Did she? Which one was the new man? Oh, yes. Walking. He was very handsome, wasn't he? I thought that was kind of weird. But what's her name? Had a man too. Joyce. Joyce had a new man too. Joyce had on the phone when she was walking on the stairs. Maybe this is not this. I think this might be my favorite. I've shown this one too much now. It's ridiculous. When Joyce was walking down the stairs in this scene, she was on the phone with a man. I think it was the man who they spent a long time at her book signing, who gave her flowers. I think that was the man. So she done move on. It sounds like she's in, a good, happy, supportive relationship. So yeah, but that man I don't think was at the funeral. I don't remember. Okay, I felt so silly praising Joyce for honoring her wedding vows and taking care of him until he died, until the reveal. honoring. Oh, I mean, why did she take care of him? I think she liked how it sounds. But Joyce let Matipa sit front row, but Essie had to grab her own seat. Matipa wanted to go and talk to the body as well. Did you catch those nonverbals? And Joyce basically said, no, I'm the only one that can go and talk to his body in the casket. You need to come here and sit down. She didn't say it, right? But that was her body language, like still needing control of the situation. Which reminds me of when Mpume came to check on her mother when she had started crying outside with her little whine all the time. And she said, are you okay? She says, no, but I'm going to be, or something like that. And then she asks her daughter if she's okay. And she says, if you're going to pretend to be fine, I'm going to pretend to be fine too. Joyce is so performative. Her inside, her world is so chaotic and painful, but she knows how to put on a really good smile for the people. But Essie had to get her own seat because she also recognizes what Essie represents, and it's shame. Did not know what did dad pass away from HIV, complications from HIV. So you know HIV, right? It attacks your immune system. And so you're susceptible to infections, right? Like he had pneumonia. You get things like pneumonia, the flu, that kind of stuff, and it kills you because your immune system is not able to fight off the virus or the bacteria. Also, what I liked is the realism of some scenes. Matipa had left the binoculars for years, so it is logical that they do not rush into her arms when she greeted them. Had left the binoculars? You mean when the binoculars? You mean the twins? What? And then did his own son not know what killed his dad since he's sleeping with Lindani? Oh, I guess not. I don't think they said the word. Yeah, the girls. Yeah. Thank you. That was also very realistic. Agreed. Why they don't even know this woman? So sad but true. Okay. So yeah, good job Mpume for bringing Sarah up, and then they let us know that Joyce. No, it's fine. I figured you meant twin, but the binoculars didn't even have a typo in it, and so I was like, you must be saying something else. I have a sister who always does like typos, like big ones, and then edits. We all have an iPhone, so she edits them after. It's just funny. It's no problem. Okay. And then we find out Joyce paid the woman to give Jonasi HIV, which to me was one of the unrealistic thing. Probably. The son is probably. Honestly, it is, you understand how we're getting into some things, right? One time for a man having sex is unlikely that he is going to contract HIV. Unlikely. Based on one time. It's much more likely that a woman is going to contract HIV from a man because of the higher likelihood that there are going to be tears in the vaginal wall than a tear on the penis in order to actually be infected by the fluids. When Lindani said she gave willingly to Jonasi in front of her mother was wild. Yes, but it isn't that exactly what young Miami did. She wrote a whole letter of support to Diddy. He's never done this to me. He's been great to me. He's given me money. He loves me. Jonasi don't love nothing. He only might love himself. Lindani was taking her meds. She said to Jonasi in a scene, okay, so she's probably not, Lindani was taking PrEP. She probably was not transmissible, right? Lower likelihood that she could infect someone with HIV. Yeah, so the last scene, right? Joyce said that Menzi will never be like his father. But Menzi is already like his father. No, I don't think Menzi is as severe as his father, right? I think he at least grew up with the love of his mother, but all of those be a man messaging that he was getting from his father and from his cousin Freedom really does something to the brain of a young man. Now, I don't watch Love Island, but I've heard people talk about Casey sounding like he's red pilled. And I've heard other people talk about how most 23-year-olds or most 20-something-year-olds are kind of like red pill. I think it's just another way of saying most men are misogynistic, which is true. Menzie lied to Sarah that dad was thinking of her. He did. And I don't think benevolent lies are beneficial to anyone. I don't like lies. But it made Sarah feel good. I think to keep her working while he probably. I would like to know your opinion on the scene where Lindani crashed out during the funeral and they had to take her out. That fires my brains. Don't watch. I tried to watch and I cried. I don't think it was love. I don't think Lindani loved Jonasi. I think, remember this, the first time he flew her out and she was in the villa by herself while he was on a work meeting, went to a work meeting or something. And she got so excited because now she could order whatever she want. She can do whatever she can live in luxury. I think that's what she wanted, which is why I say the women need to go to the source of money to get money to live the life that you want. I think the reality of him dying, even the big gaudy snake necklace that she was wearing is like a reflection of her superficiality and how she needs to go deeper. I think her outburst was a reflection of, what am I going to do now? How am I going to take care of myself now? I don't know what to do next. Lindani got the house in her name. She knew that much, yeah. I was so disappointed in Menzie. I understand he always liked her, so I feel like I should be forgiving, but I don't know. Well, you understand that he had sex with her out of hate, out of domination, out of punishment. So there's all of that was to dominate, I don't know, take back what my father stole from me. But he does not care about her. That's not how you treat somebody that you care about. Have sex with them in the bathroom at a funeral of your father. That is not how you do that. That is just a bunch of negative emotions being tied up and words that can't be said, which is why Menzie had to leave. He manipulated his father to get him to sign the company over to him in the will. But he still loved his father. This is the man who took care of me, I don't know, in financial ways, whatever. This is the man who's been here, that I've laughed with, that I've had fun with. And now he's dead. And in his last days, I lied to him. I think that's what it was. So there's just a lot of pain. The scene was fitting to me. I wasn't disappointed. I expected it. Because even before they went to the shot of Menzie, I was already thinking it. When she was talking about how he's not going to be like his father, I'm like, every shot that we get of Menzie with Freedom, every shot we get of Menzie in the strip club, it builds up to this point of Menzie disrespecting women. More and more opportunities for Menzie to say, get out of here, stop doing that, listen to me, right? In the way that he's talking to women, in the way he would have never talked to Lindani when he first had a crush on her. Menzie got keys to the kingdom, but just wants to play, not knowing his dad worked too. To me, this is the class issue. I have some books on how to get rich, just to understand the energy of money. One of the things some of these books will talk about is how wealth often is lost within 3 generations. Menzie is acting exactly how I would expect a rich kid to act. Why would he work? I've never had to work before. Now that I'm, I don't know, 18, whatever, done with school, now you're telling me that I need to be a man and be in the business? Where was all this discipline before? Rich kids are often coddled. the kind of grit that leads a man to become rich is lost when he has children, right? Jonasi's life is nothing like his children's life. He grew up in poverty with a drunk father, and we have no idea what happened to his mother. When Gamesh, his brother, took the kids back, trying to convince them to work, trying to convince them to value the company, he was explaining, this is where we lived. This is where we grew up. We were the only ones to get out of here. The kind of man that it would take your father to be, to build, we cannot throw all of this away. But rich kids, I mean, I don't have anything against rich kids. I think rich kids should rest. But even with the way I raised my son, I'm not rich, but I grew up middle class. It's easy when you start making a certain amount of money or you're used to a certain lifestyle to want to give because you have it, you want to give it to your kids. But you have to tell kids no. You have to let them fail. And a lot of, right, because a person like Jonasi and his brother, they failed. They've been hit hard by life. So their kids need to be hit a little by life. I don't believe in making kids struggle or suffer, but they need to know that there are natural consequences to their actions. I don't even think that Menzi really liked Lindani. It was the idea of her. The idea of her being pretty. It seemed like he liked her, like the personality of her. It would be, if you have time, it would be nice if you recommended us some books about money. I think I'll put it in the comment section when this video is done. I think I did a whole video on some of my favorite money books. I think somebody spotted which book is it? A Course in Miracles back here. The books on this shelf are my favorite self-help books. I don't know if other people would care about these books, but these are like my favorite books that I've done some videos on. I have books other places too, but these are like my favorite ones that I just love. I think it's important to understand how to get money, right? It's important to understand this world is, capitalism sucks. Patriarchy sucks, but we have to exist in this system. And I think you can have the life you want. You can have as much money as you want. You just got to do certain things. So, that was my analysis of The Polygamist. My God, today. I thumbs down the show on my Netflix because I don't want to see anything like that. The movie I watched after was The Swan Princess because it's now on Netflix. And there's an Afro-futuristic love story that I'm going to watch next. And maybe I might watch the Harry Potter movies from beginning to end again. Because, thank you very much. I really like my life. Okay, my life is peaceful. I have fun. I just have all my plans for most of the time. I do not watch stuff like this. Now, for an analysis, I could do it. I think if I knew it was 22 episodes before I started, I probably would not have started it. Just like I can't watch the Love Island. I really wish, because you all are having, maybe not you all, but the people are having really, really good conversations about humans. And I do think I'm going to do a video on like how I prevented my son from becoming red pilled. He's a young man in this world who exists or consumes content on the internet. He could 100% become red pilled. He could. We're all indoctrinated into this system. And so either someone directly teaches you, me to my son, directly teaches you to value yourself, to value other people, to value women, or you have to unlearn it. And many people don't want to do the work to unlearn it. So there's that. Thank you all so much. If you have any other questions, leave it in the comment section. This was fun. Thank you so much for watching and for supporting. I feel so appreciated, and I'm just so excited for my channel and the continued growth. So thank you all so much. I'll see you in the next one. Bye.